build a bridge.
I totally get that.
All this is going on. All this is going on. And what I got in that moment, what the invitation was for me in my humanness to hold all these seeming polarities in my heart. And in that moment to be an alchemist and to do what I think that life asks all of us when we face conflict, polarity, regardless of how we respond, to come from a place of compassion.
I can hear that. I'm not sure if I was in the presence of that, I could call that up. I'm not saying it can't be, because obviously you did. I don't know that I could call up that kind of bridge building, being in the space where the horror of it is happening. I don't know that I could do it. I think that you're a saint yourself.
Well, for me, it's being. I wasn't doing it for the fishermen or the dolphins or this and that. You know, we're all connected. We're one consciousness, having an experience as 6.5 billion individual fingers. And the opportunity for me is in those moments. I mean, you know, I'm an activist in different ways. You know, I will stand up and speak against things. I just choose to do it from a place of love. And so I do the work in the moment to have compassion for myself, for my humanness. I understand those fishermen. They're doing what they've done for decades, for generations. I understand the activists who, you know, who are just emotionally torn from watching the water turn red. I understand the Fishermen's Union wanting to, you know, I mean, it's all God, having the experience of God. And for me, knowing that, I can have compassion for me, for you, for everybody. And, you know, while I forget it and I lapse and I go back into judgment, you know, my commitment is to time and again come back to compassion. And we all have within us, Kim, that witness.
Of course.
Part of us that, and as I said, everybody who's listening, you get an image immediately of a part of your awareness that's not from within your body, but up and behind you. It's this totally loving, compassionate, unconditional loving aspect of our eternal nature. And it witnesses everything. And so sometimes through drama, through intensity, or through pain or through inspiration, we're pushed there or we go there. And that it's like when somebody talks about being in a car accident and it just goes really slow and they just have a very cool mind and they just fulfill the functions they're guided to fulfill to handle the moment. Well, that's where we're all headed, is to become more consciously aware and aligned with the divinity in us that's becoming more and more fully forward in our lives.
Totally understood. So what ended up happening?
Well, what ended up happening was the next day, my friend communicated that I was there to do Ho'oponopono, a ceremony of forgiveness and unification. And the next day, I was at the Cove, and I had 6 officials, mostly policemen and some Coast Guard, come down and interview me. What's the ceremony? What are you doing? Is this a protest? Are you going to go in and try and cut the nets? Are you going to, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And I explained that I'm here because most of Japan sees activists on behalf of the dolphins literally as terrorists. We're all pigeonholed in that we hate Japan, we hate Japanese, and we want to be destructive. And that, to me, part of my intent was, look, you know, I'm here to advocate other ways. I'm here to ask you to stop hunting. I'm not going to stop you. I actually come with great love and respect. So actually I got to do the ceremony, I think it was 2 days after that, and actually there were some Japanese people there, and it was translated, and one of the heads of the Fishermen's Union commented that it was, you know, they were very, very interested. And let me share this with you, Kim. This was Oh my God, highlight of my trip. There's an activist there, a Japanese individual who's a right-wing, and he's known for, his loudspeakers. He came, and I have this holy water that I use that's from sacred sites around the world, and it's been blessed by thousands and thousands of people. And I invited him to bless it, and he went. I had made a circle of stones on the beach on low tide. And he went, and he said, "Please, no cameras." And he went over, and he went into the center of the circle, and he went down on one knee, and he held that bottle with reverence, and he paused, and then he turned to me, and he said, "You are asking me to do what is in the song, Imagine." I sometimes am at a loss for words to share that story, but in that moment, that man's humility, his love, his recognition of all this, it's all to help us remember that we're one people.
How often do you go back to Japan?
It was my first trip, and I'm working on a possible trip this summer, and it would be specifically to for light workers, for people who are excited to bring light and to champion. I'm looking to go to Futo, Japan, where Ishii-san, a former dolphin hunter, stopped hunting dolphins and now leads dolphin tours, to go and highlight his work so the Japanese people are more aware of what he's doing, and then for us to go to Taiji and just do some ceremony, bless the cove, to just, in a sense, just be a healing presence, and to invite those who wish to acknowledge and affirm our oneness to join us. And, not everybody may understand what we're doing, but I know on a quantum level, on an energetic level,
yes,
we're building and we're empowering and we're strengthening a morphic wave of oneness and awakening that's already going full steam, and the emergence into our collective consciousness is just continuing to grow.
You're strengthening the morphogenic field, correct?
Yes, of our collective oneness. I actually see Taiji as a place in the future where groups come to celebrate all that has taken place, that the dolphins who've given their lives there have given their lives to help wake us up to what we're doing, to them, to our oceans, to each other, and that at some point it will stop, and it will be, this is what I see as one future reality, one potential reality, that it's actually a pilgrimage point. Not to go and say, oh, so much suffering took place, because I think the dolphins who die there know what they're doing. I think that they're spiritual beings having a dolphin experience, and they know they're eternal. It's not as big a deal for them to come and go.
I can totally relate to that. I think, though, that the way that you go, it's a sacrilege, and the reality is that you're probably right. It will be a pilgrimage place. And I think that what you're inputting into the morphogenic field is going to have a ripple effect. The question will be how long. And by holding peace, by holding love and compassion and bringing it over and calling it forth to be a bridge of communication between whoever is visiting and the Japanese people regarding this particular practice, will do nothing but illuminate the area. It's a question of time. It doesn't mean it's not heart-wrenching to be part of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. We're going to go in the summer. They don't hunt. They've just ended the hunt for this season. They won't. They typically don't hunt through till September. And we'll also go in the summer because it's warm enough to get in the water. But, Kim, the dolphins and whales, actually all animals, and I think all of life, is lovingly reminding, inviting, and assisting us to awaken. These are marvelous times. They're intense. They're stressful. There are times, when we just, the energies are increasing, and our physical biology sometimes is just stressed to integrate all this. and